Aluminum foil seems harmless, just a thin sheet for wrapping leftovers or lining baking trays. But for seniors, hidden dangers are lurking in every roll. From heavy metal leaching into your food to contamination during manufacturing, some foils could be silently raising your risk of kidney damage, neurological decline, and heart complications. Today, we're exposing 9 aluminum foil brands to avoid at all costs, and 2 that are actually safe for your kitchen. Coming in at number 9, we've got Reynolds Wrap. Reynolds Wrap. The name alone conjures images of holiday turkeys, perfectly wrapped sandwiches, and generations of American families trusting this silver staple in their kitchens. Reynolds has been around since 1947. That's nearly 80 years of wrapping America's food. They've built their entire brand on the promise of quality, reliability, and safety. Walk into any grocery store in America and Reynolds Wrap sits front and center on the shelf. Blue box, confident branding, decades of trust baked right in. Your grandmother used it, your mother used it, and now you're using it without a second thought. But here's what Reynolds doesn't want you to know. Independent laboratory testing has found that Reynolds Wrap can leach significant amounts of aluminum into food, especially when exposed to heat, acidic ingredients, or prolonged contact. A 2017 study published in the International Journal of Electrochemical Science found that aluminum foil used in cooking released measurable quantities of aluminum into food, sometimes exceeding recommended daily intake limits in a single meal. Think about that for a moment. One meal, one sheet of foil, and you've already crossed the safety threshold that health organizations have set. Now, why does this matter for seniors? Aluminum accumulation in the body has been linked to kidney dysfunction. Your kidneys are responsible for filtering out toxins and excess metals from your bloodstream. They're the silent workhorses of your body, processing around 50 gallons of blood every single day. But as you age, kidney function naturally declines. The filtration rate drops, the efficiency decreases, and suddenly, your body has a harder time clearing out what doesn't belong there. The National Kidney Foundation estimates that 1 in 3 American seniors is at risk for chronic kidney disease. That's a staggering number. When you're cooking with foil that leaches aluminum into your roasted chicken or baked potatoes, you're adding to that toxic burden, meal after meal. Year after year, the aluminum accumulates in your tissues, in your bones, in your brain, and it doesn't stop at kidneys. Research has shown a correlation between elevated aluminum levels and neurological decline, including memory problems and cognitive impairment. For seniors already worried about staying sharp, this hidden exposure is not something to take lightly. Every time you use that familiar blue box, you might be contributing to the very mental fog you're trying to avoid. Reynolds promises quality you can trust, but the trust they've built over decades may be masking a slow, invisible threat hiding in your kitchen drawer. Here's what makes it worse. Reynolds doesn't disclose any warnings about heat exposure, acidic foods, or prolonged contact on their packaging. There's no fine print cautioning you about tomatoes, no asterisk explaining the risks of high temperatures. You wrap your tomato-based casserole in Reynolds foil, slide it into a 400-degree oven, and have no idea that acidic tomatoes and high heat are pulling aluminum right into your dinner. That beautiful golden crust on your lasagna might be carrying something you never bargained for. The betrayal isn't loud. It's quiet, gradual, and happening every time you tear off a sheet. At number 8, we have Great Value aluminum foil. Great Value, Walmart's house brand. The promise is simple. Same quality as name brands, but at a fraction of the cost. For seniors living on fixed incomes, that promise is incredibly appealing. Social Security only stretches so far. Prescription costs keep climbing, and when you see a box of foil for half the price of Reynolds, it feels like a small victory. Why pay more when Great Value delivers the same results? Except it doesn't. Consumer reports and independent testers have repeatedly flagged Great Value aluminum foil for inconsistent thickness, uneven quality control, and higher rates of tearing during use. Pull a sheet from the roll and sometimes it feels sturdy enough. Other times it practically falls apart in your hands. That inconsistency isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. Here's the real concern. When foil tears or becomes thin in spots, it increases the surface area in direct contact with your food. That means more aluminum leaching, more exposure, more risk. Every tiny rip, every thin patch, every imperfection becomes a gateway for metal to migrate into your meal. And you'd never know it just by looking. Great Value sources its products from multiple manufacturers, often overseas: China, India, various Southeast Asian countries where quality control standards vary wildly. Unlike brands that maintain strict oversight of their production lines, Great Value foil can come from different facilities batch to batch. One roll might perform fine. The next might be paper thin and loaded with impurities. You're playing a lottery every time you shop. For seniors managing conditions like diabetes, hypertension, or heart disease, this kind of inconsistency is dangerous. Elevated aluminum levels have been shown to interfere with blood pressure regulation. A 2019 study in the Journal of Trace Elements in Medicine and Biology found that high aluminum exposure was associated with increased systolic blood pressure in older adults. That's the top number on your blood pressure reading, the one your doctor watches most closely. You're trying to save a few dollars at Walmart, but the hidden cost could be your cardiovascular health. That 50 cents you saved on foil might cost you thousands in medical bills down the road. And here's something most people never think about. Great Value doesn't manufacture anything. They contract out production. That means there's no single facility accountable for safety, no unified quality standard, no corporate headquarters you can call when something goes wrong, and no guarantee that what you bought last month is the same product you're buying today. The low price is the hook, but seniors deserve better than mystery metal wrapped around their meals. Isn't it strange how the cheapest products on the shelf always seem to carry the most hidden risks? Coincidence? Or something else entirely? Most people never learn how to protect themselves from aluminum exposure, but we'll break it down at the very end of the video. The solution is simpler than you think. Stick around. Now at number 7, we've got Kirkland Signature Aluminum Foil. Kirkland Signature, Costco's beloved house brand. For millions of Americans, Kirkland represents unbeatable value, bulk buying at its finest. You walk out of Costco with a giant roll of aluminum foil that'll last months, maybe 6 months, maybe longer, feeling like you've outsmarted the system. All those little savings add up, right? But bulk doesn't mean better. Kirkland Signature aluminum foil has faced repeated consumer complaints about metallic odors, unusual residue, and inconsistent roll quality. Browse through Costco forums and review sites. You'll find story after story of customers noticing something off. Some users have reported a strange, almost chemical smell when unrolling fresh sheets, a sharp, acrid tang that hits you the moment you tear off that first piece. That smell is a sign of manufacturing residue or contamination that shouldn't be anywhere near your food. Imagine pulling that roll from your kitchen drawer, reaching for a piece to cover your leftovers, and that metallic chemical odor wafts up to your nose. Your instinct says something's wrong, but you ignore it because it's Kirkland. It's Costco. It must be safe. That's not normal. That's a warning. In 2021, Costco quietly addressed complaints about off-gassing in certain Kirkland products, though they never issued a formal recall. No press release, no public acknowledgement, just quiet adjustments behind the scenes. For seniors with respiratory sensitivities, asthma, or COPD, inhaling fumes from heated contaminated foil can trigger serious reactions. Coughing fits, difficulty breathing, exacerbated symptoms that send you reaching for your inhaler. But the bigger issue is what you can't smell or see. Kirkland sources its aluminum foil from various international suppliers. Supply chain transparency is virtually non-existent. You have no idea whether your roll was manufactured in a facility with strict safety protocols, or one cutting corners to meet Costco's aggressive pricing demands. The pressure to deliver low prices creates incentives you don't want anywhere near your food. The Journal of Food Science published research showing that aluminum migration into food increases dramatically when foil is used with salty or acidic ingredients. The numbers are startling. Up to 6 times more aluminum can transfer when you're cooking with lemon or vinegar. Think about what seniors commonly cook: baked fish with lemon, roasted vegetables with vinegar-based marinades, foil-wrapped potatoes with salt. Every one of those meals is pulling aluminum into your body. Costco promises quality and value. But when it comes to your health, the value equation doesn't add up. And let's talk about that bulk psychology for a moment. When you buy a massive roll that lasts 6 months, you're not thinking about quality. You're thinking about convenience. You're congratulating yourself on being smart with your money. But that convenience means 6 months of exposure to a product you never questioned. 6 months of trusting something you never verified. For seniors already managing multiple health conditions, every small exposure adds up. Aluminum accumulates, kidneys work harder, the risks compound silently, day after day, meal after meal. Why do you think stores push bulk products so aggressively? Because you stop asking questions when you think you're getting a deal. Number 6 is Dollar General Aluminum Foil. Dollar General, the store that promises everything you need for less. For seniors in rural areas or on tight budgets, Dollar General is often the only option within miles. No Walmart, no Target, no grocery chain, just that yellow and black sign sitting at the edge of the town. And their aluminum foil sits right there on the shelf, priced so low it seems impossible to resist. A couple bucks for something you use every day. But here's the truth about impossibly low prices. They come at a cost. Someone is paying somewhere, and usually, it's you. Dollar General aluminum foil is among the thinnest on the market. Consumer testing has shown that their standard foil measures significantly below the thickness of name-brand competitors. We're talking about foil so thin you can practically see through it when you hold it up to the light. Thinner foil means weaker barriers between your food and the metal itself. It means more tearing, more direct contact, more aluminum transferring into your meals. Picture this. You pull off a sheet to cover your baking dish. As you press it around the edges, it tears. So you add another layer. Now you've got twice the surface area in contact with your food, twice the opportunity for aluminum to leach. That's not a product working for you. That's a problem masquerading as a bargain. For seniors cooking at home to manage sodium intake or control blood sugar, this matters. You think you're being careful by preparing your own food, avoiding restaurants, reading labels, measuring portions. But if the foil you're using is compromising that food, you're losing the health benefits you worked so hard to gain. All that effort undermined by something as simple as the wrong foil. Dollar General sources its products from the lowest cost suppliers available. That's their business model. Find the cheapest manufacturer who can meet basic specifications. Quality control is minimal. Batch consistency is unreliable. What you bought last month may not be the same product you're buying today. There's no accountability, no traceability, no one watching out for you. In 2022, a consumer watchdog group tested discount store aluminum foils and found that Dollar General's product had among the highest rates of surface imperfections, tiny pinholes and thin spots invisible to the naked eye, but large enough to allow aluminum migration. These aren't defects you can spot in the store. They're hidden flaws that reveal themselves only in your food. Seniors often don't realize that cooking with compromised foil is essentially cooking with contaminated cookware. The FDA has set tolerable weekly intake limits for aluminum at 2 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. But those limits assume you're using quality products. When you're using thin, inconsistent foil multiple times a day, you can exceed those limits without ever knowing it. The price tag says savings, but your body is paying the real price. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these exposés. At number 5, we have If You Care aluminum foil. If you care. The name alone suggests responsibility, ethics, and safety. It's printed right there on the box. If you care about the planet, if you care about your family, if you care about doing the right thing. The brand markets itself as eco-friendly, recycled, and better for the planet. Their packaging is covered in earth tones and sustainability language. For health-conscious seniors who want to make responsible choices, If You Care seems like the perfect solution. But caring doesn't equal safety. If You Care aluminum foil is made from 100% recycled aluminum. Now, recycling sounds wonderful. And it is for the environment. Every ton of recycled aluminum saves tremendous energy compared to producing new material. But recycled aluminum can contain trace impurities from its previous life. That aluminum might have been a soda can, an automotive part, industrial equipment, and whatever contaminants it picked up along the way can persist in the recycled material. Lead, cadmium, and other heavy metals can persist in recycled materials, especially when quality control isn't rigorous, when the focus is on environmental claims rather than purity testing. A 2020 study in environmental science and pollution research found that recycled aluminum products sometimes contained detectable levels of heavy metal contaminants not present in virgin aluminum. The researchers tested products from multiple manufacturers and found inconsistent results. Some batches clean, others carrying traces of substances you definitely don't want in your food. For seniors already concerned about accumulated toxins in their bodies, this adds another layer of risk. Your body has already spent decades filtering out pollutants from air, water, and food. Why add more? The irony is painful. You're trying to do the right thing, for the planet, for your family, for your health. You're willing to pay extra for a product that promises ethical sourcing. And a brand capitalizing on that goodwill may be exposing you to the very dangers you're trying to avoid. If You Care doesn't disclose the specific sources of their recycled aluminum or the testing protocols used to screen for contaminants, visit their website, read their packaging. You'll find plenty of feel-good language about sustainability, forests saved, energy reduced, carbon footprints minimized, but noticeably absent is any mention of heavy metal screening or purity certifications. No third-party testing results. No independent verification. For seniors managing chronic conditions, heavy metal exposure is no joke. Lead affects cardiovascular function and can accumulate in bones. Cadmium damages kidneys and has been linked to bone disease. These aren't theoretical risks. They're documented medical realities supported by decades of research. You wanted to care, but did If You Care actually care about you? Don't go yet. The solution is coming at the very end, and it could change how you use aluminum foil forever. Stay with me. Number 4 brings us to Solomo aluminum foil. Solomo, Amazon's private label brand. In the age of online shopping, Solomo products show up in millions of homes, delivered right to your door with prime convenience. No driving to the store, no navigating parking lots, no standing in checkout lines. For seniors who find grocery shopping difficult, especially those with mobility issues or limited transportation, Amazon feels like a lifeline. A few clicks and it arrives at your door. But Solomo aluminum foil has a troubling track record. Amazon reviews are filled with complaints about Solomo foil. Scroll through and the patterns emerge quickly, tearing too easily, inconsistent thickness from roll to roll, strange chemical odors that linger, rolls that unravel improperly, bunching and wrinkling before you can even tear off a sheet. While Amazon promotes Solomo as quality products at a lower price, the reality tells a different story. Solomo sources from multiple contract manufacturers with no public disclosure about who makes what or where. Amazon's supply chain is a black box. The same product listing might deliver foil from entirely different facilities depending on when you order. Order in January, and it comes from one factory. Order in June, and it might come from a completely different manufacturer on the other side of the world. For consumers, this means zero consistency and zero accountability. A 2021 investigation by marketplace watchdog groups found that Amazon private label products, including Solomo, often failed to meet the quality claims made on their listings. Products described as premium or heavy-duty tested well below the thickness of true heavy-duty foils from established brands. The labels meant nothing, just marketing language designed to compete on search results. For seniors, the health implications are serious. When foil fails during cooking, bad things happen, tearing at the worst moment, melting at edges when it contacts heating elements, contaminating food with residue you can taste but can't see. You're exposed to risks you never agreed to take, risks that weren't disclosed anywhere in that product description. And here's the unsettling part. Amazon controls the reviews, the listings, and the supply chain. They control what you see and what gets hidden. Negative feedback can be buried beneath positive reviews. Complaints can be dismissed as isolated incidents. Sellers can manipulate ratings. And the same problematic product can keep shipping to unsuspecting customers month after month without meaningful change. You trust Amazon to deliver safely. But is that trust deserved when it comes to what touches your food? What's the worst kitchen product you've ever bought? The one that made you question everything? Drop it in the comments below. I want to hear your stories. Moving to number 3, we have store brand aluminum foil from Kroger, Safeway, and Albertsons. Store brands. Every major grocery chain has them. Kroger's Home Chef, Safeway's Signature Select, Albertsons' own label, Publix, Meijer, Giant. The names change depending on where you live, but the promise is always the same. They sit right next to the name brands on the shelf, often in nearly identical packaging. Same colors, same product photos, promising the same quality at a better price. But store brands are not created equal. These grocery giants don't manufacture their own foil. They don't have factories. They don't have production lines. What they have are procurement departments that contract with third-party suppliers, often the lowest bidders. Companies willing to produce products that bear the store's name at the smallest possible cost. The result is a patchwork of inconsistent quality, variable sourcing, and minimal oversight. Consumer testing has revealed that store-brand aluminum foils frequently underperform in thickness, durability, and barrier protection compared to their name-brand neighbors. The foil that looks identical on the shelf performs dramatically differently in your kitchen. But the differences aren't obvious when you're shopping. The packaging looks professional, the price is attractive, and seniors trust the stores where they've shopped for decades. That trust feels earned. It feels reliable. That trust is being exploited. In 2019, a food safety analysis found that store-brand kitchen products, including aluminum foil, had higher rates of consumer complaints related to contamination, off odors, and product failure than comparable name-brand items. People were finding strange smells, unusual textures, foil that behaved unpredictably during cooking. But these complaints rarely make headlines, because each store brand is treated as a separate entity, diffusing accountability across dozens of different companies. For seniors managing heart conditions, kidney disease, or neurological concerns, the cumulative risk of low-quality foil isn't worth the $1 or $2 you save per roll. That small savings evaporates the moment it affects your health, the moment it adds to your body's toxic burden, the moment it complicates conditions you're already fighting to manage. The grocery store feels safe, it feels familiar. You know the aisles, you know the employees. You've been shopping there for years, maybe decades. But familiar doesn't mean trustworthy when profit margins drive every decision behind the scenes, when the goal is squeezing out competitors rather than protecting customers. Do you think grocery stores care more about their margins or what's actually safe for your health? At number 2, we have heavy-duty generic foils from restaurant supply stores. Heavy duty. The words promise strength, reliability, and professional-grade performance. They sound reassuring, substantial, like you're getting something built to last. For seniors who cook frequently, or who buy in bulk from restaurant supply stores like Gordon Food Service, Restaurant Depot, or US Foods. Heavy-duty generic foils seem like the smart choice. Professional kitchens use them. They must be good. But heavy-duty is an unregulated marketing term. There's no legal definition of what makes aluminum foil heavy-duty. No government standard, no industry requirement, no minimum thickness specification. Any manufacturer can slap that label on their product without meeting any specific quality benchmark. It's a marketing term, nothing more. And generic heavy-duty foils from restaurant supply outlets are often the worst offenders. They use the language without delivering the substance. These products are designed for commercial kitchens where volume matters more than precision. They're meant for wrapping hundreds of burritos in a busy lunch rush, for covering industrial sheet pans that feed cafeteria crowds, for operations where speed and cost trump everything else. Not for the careful home cooking seniors do to manage their health. Not for the precise meal preparation that conditions like diabetes and hypertension demand. Testing has shown that some generic heavy-duty foils are actually thinner than standard duty foils from reputable brands. The label says one thing, the product delivers another. The heavy-duty designation is pure marketing, designed to make you feel like you're getting more protection when you're often getting less. A psychological trick wrapped in familiar language. For seniors, the risks compound. Restaurant supply foils are typically sold in massive quantities. Giant rolls that last months or even years. That's months of exposure to a product you assumed was safe because of 2 words on the label. Months of trusting a claim that was never verified. Years of accumulated exposure adding to your body's burden. And the supply chain is even murkier here. Restaurant supply products often come from overseas manufacturers with no FDA oversight, no domestic accountability, no incentive to prioritize consumer safety over cost cutting. The buyers are restaurant owners watching their bottom line, not families thinking about long-term health consequences. You thought heavy-duty meant heavy protection, but labels lie, and your health pays the price. Ever noticed how these brands keep cutting corners but never lowering their marketing claims? The promises stay the same while the quality drops. Tell me about it in the comments below. And at number 1, the worst of all, ultra-cheap imported aluminum foil from discount retailers. We've reached number 1. And this is the one that should worry you most. Ultra-cheap imported aluminum foil. The no-name rolls you find at discount outlets, dollar stores, closeout retailers, and online marketplaces. They're priced so low it feels like stealing. A roll for 99 cents. Sometimes even less. A fraction of what you'd pay for Reynolds or Kirkland. For seniors watching every penny, that price is almost impossible to resist. But here's what you're really buying. These products come from unregulated overseas facilities with no FDA inspection, no quality certification, and no accountability whatsoever. Manufacturing standards vary wildly from factory to factory, from batch to batch. Some facilities use industrial-grade aluminum not intended for food contact. Aluminum meant for construction or machinery, repurposed for kitchen use because it's cheaper. Others fail to properly clean machinery between production runs, leaving residues of oils, solvents, lubricants, and other chemicals on the finished foil. Chemicals that transfer directly to your food the moment heat is applied. In 2022, a European Union safety investigation flagged several shipments of ultra-cheap aluminum foil from Asian manufacturers for containing dangerous levels of contaminants, including formaldehyde residues from manufacturing processes. Formaldehyde, the same chemical used to preserve biological specimens. While these products were blocked from European markets, identical products continue to flood American discount retailers with no screening whatsoever. What Europe rejects, America accepts without question. For seniors, the implications are devastating. Formaldehyde is a known carcinogen. That's not disputed. It's established science. Exposure can trigger respiratory issues, skin reactions, and long-term cellular damage. It irritates airways, it causes inflammation, and you're potentially wrapping your food in it. Every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, day after day. The FDA doesn't routinely test imported aluminum foil. There's no inspection process at ports for kitchen products like there is for food. No one checking each container. No one verifying safety claims. Containers full of contaminated foil enter the United States every day, distributed to stores and communities across the country. purchased by trusting consumers who have no idea what they're bringing into their kitchens, who have no way of knowing what's really on that roll. This is the ultimate betrayal. You're trying to save money. You're trying to stretch your fixed income. You're making responsible choices because that's what you've always done. And predatory manufacturers are capitalizing on that need by selling you products that could seriously harm your health. They're exploiting your trust, your budget constraints, your lack of information. Why do you think these products are so cheap? Because safety costs money, testing costs money, quality control costs money, and they're not spending it. Every shortcut becomes profit, every corner cut becomes margin, and every risk becomes yours to bear. Statistics tell the story. The World Health Organization recommends a maximum weekly aluminum intake of 2 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. For a 150-pound adult, that's about 136 milligrams per week. A single meal cooked with contaminated foil can exceed a significant portion of that limit. Now multiply that by 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, month after month, year after year. The accumulation is silent, invisible, and relentless. Seniors are the most vulnerable. Declining kidney function means less ability to filter accumulated aluminum from the bloodstream. Age-related cognitive changes make it harder to notice subtle neurological symptoms. The early signs of aluminum toxicity can look like normal aging, a little more forgetfulness, a little more fatigue, a little more confusion, and the conditions many seniors already manage: hypertension, heart disease, diabetes. All of them are worsened by chronic aluminum exposure. The ultra-cheap foil in your drawer might be the most expensive mistake you've ever made. The first safe option, Reynolds Wrap Heavy Duty. Now for what you've been waiting for, the safe options. The solutions we promised at the beginning. The first recommendation is Reynolds Wrap Heavy Duty, specifically the heavy-duty version, not the standard Reynolds we talked about earlier. The heavy-duty variant with proper usage guidelines. Here's why this matters. While we flagged standard Reynolds Wrap earlier for leaching concerns, the heavy-duty version is significantly thicker, substantially more material between your food and potential contamination, providing a more effective barrier. Independent testing has confirmed that heavy-duty Reynolds leaches far less aluminum than thinner alternatives, especially when used correctly. The increased thickness makes a measurable difference in laboratory tests. The key is how you use it. Never let foil directly touch acidic foods like tomatoes, citrus, or vinegar-based marinades when cooking at high heat. The combination of acid and heat accelerates aluminum migration dramatically. Use foil as a cover or tent instead, not as a direct wrapper for acidic ingredients. Place parchment paper between the foil and acidic foods if you need direct contact. Avoid prolonged contact with any food. Remove foil from meals as soon as cooking is complete. Don't store acidic leftovers in foil for extended periods. Reynolds Heavy Duty is manufactured entirely in the United States with consistent quality control, FDA-compliant materials, documented safety testing, traceable supply chains. For seniors who want reliability without mystery sourcing, this is the baseline of trust. You know where it comes from. You know who made it. You know what standards it meets. It's not perfect. No aluminum foil is. But when used properly, it's safe. The second safe option, parchment paper. The second recommendation is even simpler. If you want the safest option available, switch to parchment paper for most cooking tasks, and reserve aluminum foil only for covering and wrapping cold foods. Here's the truth most people never hear. Parchment paper provides the same convenience as foil for baking, roasting, and lining trays. The same ease of cleanup, the same protection for your pans, without any metal leaching into your food. Zero aluminum, zero heavy metals, zero concern about heat-activated contamination. Brands like Reynolds Parchment Paper and If You Care. Parchment paper are made from unbleached, food-safe materials that withstand high temperatures without transferring anything harmful. They're designed specifically for cooking contact. For seniors, this simple switch eliminates the primary risk entirely. You remove the problem at its source. You can still use heavy-duty Reynolds foil for wrapping leftovers in the refrigerator, where there's no heat exposure and minimal acidic contact. The cold temperatures slow any migration to nearly nothing. But for cooking, where heat is involved and food contact is direct, parchment paper is the safer choice. This is the solution we promised. Not a complicated protocol, not expensive specialty products, not a complete kitchen overhaul, just a simple shift in habit that protects your kidneys, your heart, and your long-term health. Parchment paper costs roughly the same as quality foil. It's available in every grocery store, and it removes the risk entirely. You've been using aluminum foil without questioning it for decades. Now you know what to do differently. Your kitchen should be a place of nourishment, not not Hidden Danger, a place where you prepare meals that help your health, not harm it. Now you know which brands to avoid and which choices actually protect your well-being. You have the information. You have the alternatives. Don't leave your safety to chance. Subscribe now, and if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.